So, I'm gonna do a drawing, and you're gonna tell me the story of your life. I'm your dad, so you would think I would know the story of your life, but I don't really, do I?
No, because you're not. We're not together enough for us to know the story of each other's life.
So I'm just gonna draw, and you're gonna tell me the story, and I'm gonna draw pictures. And 4 years ago, I wasn't really in your life, and I came back into your life with the best of hopes for things. And after 4 years, I found out that things weren't exactly what I was told, and this story started forming around our lives, didn't it?
Yes, it did.
No. Why don't you start with the part of the story that you want to talk about? Do you want to do this? Because it's got to be hard for you.
It is very.
So
I want to do this because I know that if my story is true, then since you have a secret family, that means I do too, and it's very important to me to help you find that family.
But that wasn't important to you before. I mean, why is it so important to you now?
Because it really got into my head that your secret family is my secret family as well. Because before I didn't understand that.
What about it didn't you understand?
I didn't understand how if we had a secret family, I wouldn't understand why I would be told if I also have the secret family out there.
Now, the beginning part of the story is that I came back into your life after not being around for a while for various reasons. And at first, things were really good, but then all of a sudden something changed, and you started coming over to my house telling me you hated me, that you didn't want me around, and confusing me and confusing yourself. And this went on for a really long time. And I kept trying and trying and trying, but every time you would say things like, I don't really need you, I don't want you here. And then a weekend came where I tried real hard, and I made a video for you about my life and what I do when you're not around, and you watched that video. And your reaction was, wow, I really messed up. And that video I made of my life when you weren't here really started opening up a channel of communication between us, didn't it?
Yes, it did.
You started telling me why you had been mean to me for so long. Correct?
Correct.
And so that's when I learned about something called the family game, where you and your family would get around a dinner table and come up with ways to destroy my life. Is this true?
Very true.
And you would talk about things, and I started slowly figuring out that you were only coming over doing what you were being told to do. You weren't coming over and doing it because you wanted to. You were just doing it because you were being told to. Someone was telling you. And it's become a solid part of our lives. Hasn't it?
It's pretty much became the only thing we talk about.
And before you started talking to me about this story, I didn't know you could speak. The only thing I knew you knew how to talk about was things like hating me. But all of a sudden, you became a boy who had spent the last summer, being taken to Freemason temples for rituals and being introduced to overlords and hanging out with the leader of the organization named Mr. Dewity, and him telling you about how you need to keep me out of his way because, like, I get in his way, was that you and your entire family had been convinced by a man named Mr. Dewity that I was going to cause the end of the world, so you had to get rid of me. And if you got rid of me, Mr. Dewity was going to give you $20 million and a big giant house and Xboxes and friends and fortunes and fame, all for getting rid of me by November 23rd, when he told you that the pictures that his camera could see into the future was the end of the world that I was going to cause. And so, right before I came back into your life 4 years ago, apparently Mr. Dewity was meeting at your mom's house and getting her to sign a contract to be a part of his organization, to work with him to get me out of your life, and in return he would set up everything for you guys, correct?
Correct.
Right? So that's like the brunt of the story. Right? You know, that my whole life has been manipulated by a man named Mr. Dewity, who controls the largest secret organization in the world. All for a secret, to protect a secret, to protect one secret. And that's really what we've been talking about for the last 7 months or however long, because I didn't find out about this at first.
Weekend where I was telling you about the story I've been telling you about.
Mm-hmm.
And you knew that I was holding something back.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember you asking me what that thing was.
And what was that thing?
It was that I was told that the family you believed was your family wasn't even your family at all.
And if they weren't my family, who were they?
They were people that were taking orders from Mr. Dewey to just keep you in their house until you were 18. That they could never be nice to you or tell you the truth.
And who told you this?
Mr. Dewey did.
Mm-hmm. Are you sure?
I know, it was it was your mom and dad who told me.
I really suggest you stop changing your story. This is my life you're playing with. I suggest you think very carefully before each word and accusation you make in this exercise. Because in our private life, your story has driven me crazy. I don't even have my own mother's phone number anymore.
That's
Right, stop. See, and essentially what your story is that everybody in my life is so mean to me because they've all signed deals with this Mr. Dewity, like your mom. Because I was kidnapped from my family when I was a baby, and that's what we're getting to. Now, this story involves two very important key aspects that you have to be very clear about when you're speaking about. One, it involves a character who's potentially the leader of the world's largest secret organization, and it involves a person who potentially could have been kidnapped, which is a crime. Now, through your story, I've been to the FBI, I've called child services, I've even gone to see 2 different psychiatrists, I've seen doctors. So I'm asking you, take the time to speak and think and think and speak. This is my life. But you can't change your story. If you don't know for sure, you got to stop and think about it and replay the memory in your head to make sure you get it right.
I understand.
Are you sure?
Yes, I'm sure.
Okay. So you were at the part of the story where someone told you that I wasn't really a part of their family, or, my mom and dad told you. So you've met my mom and dad.
Yes.
Okay. I want to suggest that you stop and think about telling me about how you met my mom and dad. Then tell me how you met my mom and dad, because the only time that I know of that you've met my mom and dad was when you were a little baby and too young to remember. So, let's talk about that. Let's talk about you meeting my mom and dad.
I was at my grandma's house, and then all of a sudden Mr. Dewity came in with your mom and dad.
Mm-hmm.
Acting like he owned the place.
Yeah? How did he act when you came in? Like, you say he acted like he owned the place. What do you mean? What does that look like, acting?
Like, he just came in, he didn't even knock.
Mm-hmm.
Like he was going into his own house.
Gotcha. Okay, and so he comes in, and there's people with him?
Yes.
Yeah? Let's talk about that. Who was with him?
Your mom, dad, and sister.
How did you know who they were?
Because they were introduced.
By who?
By Mr. Dewity.
Okay. And when they came in, what happened?
They came in, went up the stairs in front of the front door.
Don't describe it in detail, like they came in the front door, they came in the house, they sat down on the couch. I mean, what happened? What did you talk about?
We talked about, we talked about you.
Yeah. And before we go on, have I ever shown you a picture of my mom that you can remember?
Never.
Never. Are there any pictures of my mom in my house?
No.
No. Are there any pictures of my dad in my house?
No.
So you wouldn't have a reference to what they look like, right? There's no pictures of my parents in my house. There's none in your house. So I'm going to show you a picture. Is this the woman that you met?
Yes, it is.
That's the woman you met.
Yeah, I remember her clearly because she was wearing shoes with special spring heels.
No, but that is the face of the woman you met.
Yes.
Look at it.
Yes, it is.
Okay. And when you met her, we're not going to use real names on camera, but when you met her, did she give you the name that I had told you later was her name, or did she give you a totally different name than everybody else had? Did she have the same last name as my dad?
No.
Or my sister?
It was completely different.
Okay. And it was completely different than the name I knew her to have, wasn't it?
Yes, it was.
So, when she came into the house, she was with a man, right?
Right.
And she was with my sister. Was this the man that she was with?
No, that's not it.
You met my mom, you met my dad, and you met my sister, right?
Correct.
Is that the man that you met?
Yes, it is.
That's the man. All right. So you have met these people without my presence, correct?
Correct.
You've met my parents, and they told you that I wasn't a real member of their family. What else did they tell you?
They told me of how. Well, your mom told me that. She was really proud of how when she had when she was with you when you were really young, that she gained the ability to paint.
Just by being around me.
Yes. When you were very little.
That you can remember. And then we're going to move on because we have other things to talk about.
I remember being told that you were found in a field of crops.
Who told you that?
Mr. Dewity told me that.
Okay. When did he tell you that?
He told me that right after your mom stopped speaking about how proud she was about being able to paint.
And that was the last that really ever happened for a long time, right?
Very long time.
So, and then we went through this whole story where you told me about you going to the Mason Temple, and then you told me about meeting my parents, and you told me about like just all this other stuff. And your mom started blabbing the truth to you, didn't she?
Yes, she did.
And so let's kind of talk about that. Because this truth has to do with our family. Because I really don't care about Mr. Dewity. I don't really care if there's some secret dark lord ruling over people in the world. Because it's not my problem that people are dumb enough to sign contracts with an idiot. But it is my problem when the whole story is about me and you having a secret family. So your mom, after she believed that she had totally won in this imaginary game she had created between me and her, started babbling to you, didn't she?
Yes, she did.
Now let's talk about what she started babbling to you, or what you told me she started babbling to you.
That you had a secret family out somewhere looking for you.
Looking for me.
Yes.
And how did she know this?
She was told it by Mr. Dewity.
And what else did she tell you about this secret family?
That they were a lot like you.
Yeah, how?
Like, they were very beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
And they had a lot of creative talents.
Mm-hmm.
And when they had a job to do, they wouldn't finish until either they found proof that it was pointless or until their job was done.
She told you this?
Yes.
And how did she know this?
She was told it by Mr. Dewity.
Hmm. So, she also told you something else that makes the whole being found in the crops idea false, right?
Right.
That Mr. Dewity didn't tell you the truth, but do you think your mom did?
I think so.
And where did your mom tell you I really came from?
From a faraway land.
And did she tell you I was found, or did she tell you I was stolen?
Kidnapped.
She told you I was taken.
Yeah.
How was I taken?
That Mr. Dewey waged war on the place you were at, and while everyone was busy trying to fend off his forces, someone from his side took you away, under people, like away, and no one noticed until it was too late.
And that's what your mom said about my life.
Yes.
It's made it so every day I wonder if there's a family really out there looking for me. I wonder if that's why my family won't talk to me anymore. Is because they're just trying to cover up the fact that I'm not really their family, so they make up these little reasons not to talk to me. That's the kind of stuff I wonder. And that's what it's done to my life. Before I thought these people I grew up with were my family, but you're the only person I spend any time with. And I told you that no matter what your story was, I would stick by you. So sticking by this story hasn't exactly been easy on my life. So why don't you talk a bit about how this, telling me all this stuff, what has it done to your life?
It made my life a whole lot worse in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
As well.
Well, why don't you start by telling me, what is it like for you at school?
It's very, very hard.
How?
Because like the days that I'm focused on just the story, I can't focus on anything else because the story is really big.
For you.
For me, yeah.
And so you spend a lot of time thinking about this.
Yeah, and that really hurts my school life.
Mm-hmm. Hurts making friends. Hurts a lot of things, doesn't it?
Yeah, and because of the story, I like when one of my friends at school sees that I'm having a hard time, and all I can really say is that it's something from my personal life.
Mm-hmm.
Because I know that if I told that her friend the story, my friend would just think I was crazy.
And why would your friend think you were crazy?
Because this story is so like out of the normal. Like it contradicts pretty much everything that is considered normal.
It does. It definitely does do that. She was more than happy to tell you this story, but once she figured out that you were telling me the story in return, what happened with your relationship with your mom?
It went on a standstill where she wouldn't talk to me. If I tried to talk to her, she would shut me up.
Mm-hmm.
Or yell at me for asking a simple question or asking for help with something.
With what? What
Like
kind of stuff?
help with homework.
She would even yell at you just for asking for help with your homework.
Yes.
Oh, that kind of sucks. Right?
Right, and yeah, that would be like for all the time that I have to do my homework during the school weeks.
Mm-hmm.
It makes it very, very difficult.
Very difficult?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's making it real difficult because you're failing in school. You're having a hard time making friends.
And keeping them.
You don't know what to talk about because this story is the only thing on your mind because it was your entire secret life for years. Now that it's not secret, are you kind of having a hard time figuring out what to do?
Yes, I am.
Yeah.
I'm having a real hard time.
So what else has happened in your life? Because you also live with your grandpa too, and your grandpa was the one that took you to the Freemason lodges. And
Yeah, but after that, he kind of shut up as well.
Mm-hmm.
And then he started both listening to Bible radio and reading the Bible at the same time.
So after all this stuff started coming out, that was what he did with his life. Is he stopped talking to you and started putting headphones on and listening to Bible radio and reading the Bible all the time.
Correct.
Because when this story was happening, he wasn't reading the Bible as much, was he?
No, he was, and he definitely wasn't listening and reading to the Bible at the same time.
Yeah.
And he only read the Bible occasionally.
What would he do with most of his time when this story was happening?
He would watch old TV shows, like from the 50s and 60s, like westerns and old things like Walker Texas Ranger.
But he doesn't do that anymore, does he?
No, he doesn't.
And all he does is read the Bible and listen to Bible radio. So he must feel like he probably done something really wrong.
Yeah, because he's hiding from it so hard.
And so he doesn't talk to you anymore. Your mom doesn't really talk to you. Everybody just kind of walks around your house like zombies. And it's been like this for ever since you told me about this, right?
Right.
So does it kind of seem like someone told him not to talk anymore? Or does it seem like, and I don't know, because I don't live in your house, but that seems like a pretty major change to, because before, really, you guys didn't really talk positively. All the talking that you did, that you told me, was you kind of around a table like this.
Yeah, it's a mix of not talking and trying to talk and get shut up.
And that's all it's been.
Yeah, that's all it's been for the past however long I started talking to you about it for.
Mm-hmm. It doesn't look like it's going to change anytime soon, does it?
No, not at all.
So what's been the hardest part of your life since you started telling me this story?
Definitely the school, because I can live with my family not talking to me, but not being able to talk to friends at school and not being able to talk to family makes it really, really bad.
Yeah, and you and I can't really talk much because your mom will only let us talk on Wednesday and Sundays for an hour exactly, and
every other weekend.
So we don't get a daily chance to kind of work this stuff out. And your family's not going to talk about it, because when I confronted your grandpa about it, that was the last time I ever saw him. He used to drop you off almost every time you came over, but the time I asked him about his association with the group of people you told me about, I never saw him again. Have I?
Never.
And your mom, when she drops you off, she won't get within 100 feet of me, will she?
No, she won't.
So there's not exactly any opportunity to really talk about it. Right? So I can understand, how things are going for you, because I can see it. It's like your grandpa had you go to the movies with your grandma so he didn't have to drop you off here. You do realize that's the whole reason you went with your grandma the other day.
And if he's, I don't think she would want to see me.
She hadn't seen you in 6 months, ever since you started trying to talk to her about this stuff. She hasn't even called you. And then all of a sudden your mom goes out of town, your grandpa doesn't want to drop you off here, so they stick your grandma with it. Right?
Right.
Because your grandpa won't come over. What else do you want to talk about in this? Talk about in this story, talk about in maybe in the future us finding some mysterious family that maybe have kept from us, right? You know, have you thought about what kind of future you want out of this, like when this is all over?
I want a future where I'm not afraid to talk to people, and when I try to, I'm not shut up.
Yeah.
All the time.
I don't shut you up, do I?
You don't.
I mean, sometimes I get frustrated when you do the same thing over and over.
Yeah, but you never say shut up. You're like, the most you say is like stop.
Yeah, I say stop, but more than anything, I say, come on, start talking.
And when it gets, when my actions are getting way out of hand, you just say stop.
Yeah. Well, that's pretty safe.
Yeah, but never once have you really shut me up.
No. So this is a pretty strange story. For anyone. It's even stranger for me because apparently I'm at the center of some secret thing to keep me from finding out about my real life. And we're kind of in a place where we don't have many options. I don't have many friends. Like I said, you know, you're not really in a place where even your mom or anyone is really talking to you in your life to get some help with what you're going through. And so that's why we're doing this. Maybe have a little hope that people will see this and go, wow, just by maybe sharing this, maybe these two people will find their family. Yeah. Not trying to get any money. They're just a father and son trying to get themselves out of a bad situation using some art, some creativity, and hopefully what is honest. Hopefully.
Yeah, hopefully.
And so hopefully we can get through it. Even if Mr. Dewity is real, we're not going to stop him. He's the leader of a secret worldwide organization. Knock, knock. Idiot.
Yeah,
right?
We're definitely not going to stop him.
We're not going to get your mom to ever tell the truth because she's never told the truth in her entire life. Your grandpa's not all of a sudden going to go, wow, I've been a total dick. Right? So really the only hope for us is really doing something that hopefully will award us or reward us the help of people who go, wow, this is a really crappy situation these people find themselves in, and I can help them. Because it's horrible to think that someone out there may have been kidnapped and unable to find their family, and had been kidnapped for so long that the people that kidnapped them put them through a whole life and then just abandon them to the world so they wouldn't have to deal with what the truth was. Right?
Right.
And everybody deserves really to know the truth about their own life. Everybody deserves to know their family. Everybody deserves to know where they come from. But apparently that's been taken. And apparently your mom is a member of the secret group of people that took it. Because the leader of that group didn't like my real dad. That's kind of what it sounds like.
And why else would someone wage war on somewhere else?
Somewhere else. You know, and we've talked enough about your conversations with Mr. Dewity, and they're just weird. Like, that guy is the weirdest character in a story I have ever heard. Right, especially the story you told me about how this character compared his underwear to your grandpa's underwear. That was just unbelievable. I'm sorry.
I wouldn't even believe what I said if I didn't experience it.
How could you? How could you believe a story where two people make a bet about who has the cleanest underwear? Like, it is just...
Yeah, I would never believe it if I wasn't telling it.
Just... Seriously, think about your life. I'm a 12-year-old boy. The story of my life is my mom's a secret member of a group of people who signed contracts to ruin my dad's life. All to keep a secret that he was kidnapped from their leader's arch nemesis to ensure victory in their big giant king war or something. Right? Meanwhile, to waste time, the leader who kidnapped me, the kid, is wasting his time by making underwear bets with the grandpa of my son who he secretly controls.
That is...
Look at it like that. That is essentially your story. Right?
You're right, it's way too over the top.
It's so... But the part that's not is me not even being able to get my mom's phone number.
Because that's reality.
That's reality. So you see how they just find little reasons to throw me away. So your story started connecting dots in my life. Growing up, childhood. And that's when it became difficult for me. Because you can't turn those off. The wall of pictures you can't take back. Just like that part of the story when you told me that you saw a wall of pictures of my entire life. And you explained and described pictures of my life that you shouldn't have seen. That I never told you about. And I think about that and I'm like, how do I move forward with this? Because how does a little boy who's never really gone outside, how does he invent and describe what the inside of these places look like? And how does a little boy who's never gone outside or done anything describe pictures of his dad's life that he's never seen?
And you've never told me about.
And I've never told you about. And that's why it's real simple. What other people should understand about what we're doing is just we need help. We don't have anybody. Because apparently everyone around me is a part of the secret conspiracy to keep my kidnapping a secret. And I have to find some way to get outside of this circle of silence. Some way. And I've been inside this circle of silence my whole life. You know, growing up, having my mom tell me I was the son of an alien, having my dad tell me I was the son of a milkman, breaking my leg and having my family make me crawl up and down stairs to take baths, you know, getting in scooter accidents, to be forced to go to school the next Monday, all messed up, face all messed up. So it's never really been kind in my life with people. It's always been a circle of silence where the people around me seem to know something that I don't know. I don't know what's real anymore. I don't know if your story is real. I don't know if any of it's real, but I do know that I'm stuck in a circle of silence. You're stuck in a circle of silence. And from what I've gathered from talking to you and trying to talk to other people, the center of the circle of silence is about keeping the secret of my kidnapping. And then in keeping the secret of my kidnapping, this character, Mr. Dewity, can apparently steal all my creative ideas and make tons of money. So let's talk about that part of the story that Mr. Dewity told you, and then we're going to start wrapping this up for tonight. We'll continue in the morning after we get a good night's sleep. How's that sound?
That sounds good. Because then I'll be able to focus better.
So this Mr. Dewity character, he kind of told you why he keeps me in his little circle of silence. And why does he do that?
so that he can steal your ideas when you're stuck in bad situations, because you always have ideas of how to get out of situations.
So he kind of likes to put me in a bad situation to see the ideas I come up with to get out, right?
And he takes those and uses those to get what he wants.
Like what?
Like money, power, those kinds of things.
And he told you this personally, that he intentionally puts me in bad situations to force me to come up with ideas that he can steal and make tons of money with.
Yes.
And how long had he been doing this?
Longer than I could remember.
Did he tell you some of the ideas, not the really big ones, just did he tell you any of the ideas besides anything? Did he tell you any ideas that he stole from me that he really was like, yeah, that's one of the ideas I took from your dad? What was one of those ideas?
But I remember him telling me about taking your idea when you were really young. About being able to have a screen in your hand. You took that and made that happen from your idea. He said he really took it from you.
Kind of why I think we should do this, because in my life, I only really have two things outside of you, and that's drawing and writing code. And over the last few months, I've kind of buried myself in writing code because this has been very difficult to deal with, and I've built a program that's going to be part of this whole thing, and you've kind of seen little bits of the program. You saw the calculator I made in the weekend, right?
Yeah, and I kind of saw, even if I didn't understand it, I saw the code that kind of went into that. That you used to make the whole calculator work and the other things work.
And make everything work together.
Yeah, like when you showed me that animation.
Exactly. There, that's off.
And the code that you showed me, you also told me that it was really not a lot of code that it took to make all that happen.
It didn't. There's a few hundred lines of code, which in the code world is not a lot at all. And I could have made it even less if I really tried. So that's really all I have in my life. And, I never finished school. And I learned to code and draw just because I was wanting to. Not because I do it for work or not because someone pays me, but it's what I enjoy to do, and I have a lot of time alone. Like we were talking about earlier, your story makes a lot of things make sense, and you could imagine a person, if your story is true, a person who's been kidnapped and being held hostage by a secret society without his knowledge would spend a lot of time alone. Yeah. And that's how I've learned everything that I've learned, is just by spending time alone and taking the time to do it. So we're doing that right now. No matter how confusing it seems to whoever comes along to this later or not. Doesn't really matter if this just sits there and no one ever sees it because they don't want to take the time. This is like just a matter of doing it. So
it doesn't matter who says it.
Doesn't matter. And it's about us drawing a better world for ourselves. At least the idea is better than nothing.
Yeah.
Right?
And at least when it's a drawing, it can't really be forgotten.
Yeah. You can't forget it.
And it's not like just a thought.
Yeah, it's not a fleeting thought.
Yeah.
Right?
Right. It would be something that takes some time to form the idea and the thought, and then some more time to turn it into a drawing. So it would take some time.
Mm-hmm.
And that time could really never be forgotten.
It can't. And using that time for something like that, I think is much better than sitting around wondering if the story is true or not true. Because if it is true, and I've learned this a long time ago, if it is true, the people involved are so powerful that they're never going to let it come out. Never.
But we still need to do it.
We still need to do it. And it's not for truth. And it's not for getting people on our side or turning or off or shutting down some big secret group of people. It's just for something very simple. It's for two people to find their family.
And so I stopped really caring about the big secret group.
Right?
Yeah, because they're not here anymore.
Well, they are, but they're secret.
Yeah, they're secret now. Like, I'm not really experiencing them physically anymore.
Yeah. So, and, realizing that they're really there, you're not so afraid of the mystery of it. And it becomes apparent that they're just a group of people who signed these contracts because they believed it was the best option for them and their families.
Even if it wasn't in the long run.
Even if it wasn't in the long run. Exactly. But they still sign them. And it's still something that we kind of have to deal with. It's a big part of it because it means anyone who knows the truth is never going to talk. And so our only option is to do whatever we can to find our family, the people that may be looking for us, without involving the secret people.
Is there a possibility of a family that's been looking for us?
Yeah, and we have to do it without breaking the secret people's rules.
Yeah, that's very serious.
Yeah. Yeah, we have to do it without breaking the secret people's rules. And that's the difficult part about this, is because it sounds so crazy and it sounds so unbelievable. And 99.9% of people in the world would just pass it off as crazy. But I'm that 0.1%. Right? I'm that 0.1% that is the type of person that's going to say, what if it's true? How do we test this to see if it's true? I'm that small percentage type of person.
Are you saying that you would look into it, even if it sounds absolutely like
Totally.
absurd?
Totally. But the detail of your story is unheard of. Your descriptions of what places look like, what things happen, it's ridiculous amounts of detail. It just is. And so I'm that 0.1%. I think the only option is to just do this and hope for the best.
I don't think there's anything else we can do.
No. No, I don't think so. So, in this next part, I want you to tell me what an ideal world looks like to you.
A place where everyone knows how to talk and like, who tells the truth and never